Welcome to another episode of the Three in the Key podcast. Today is Tuesday, August the 11th, 2020, and today we're going to talk about the New Orleans Pelicans. So they got eliminated from the bubble on Sunday with a loss to the Spurs, and so it's kind of ironic because the whole reason this play-in tournament was really pushed and created is because the NBA wanted to get Zion specifically and the Pelicans into the bubble just because of the marketing value. And they're one of the first teams gone. So, and they really did not play inspired basketball in the bubble. They were just, they were so careless with the ball and, just as Jeff Van Gundy says, no compete level on the defensive end. They didn't deserve a playoff spot. So I'm glad they didn't. They weren't kind of forced in there by the powers that be. But the real question is, where do they go from here? So it was kind of a crazy season for them. So they start the year. Zion gets hurt in the preseason. They hold him out until January. They start off the year really weak. I think they were like 6-20 at one point. It was a really tough start. And then January and February, a little bit before Zion comes back, they start turning it around. Lonzo's getting healthy, other guys are getting healthy, and they start putting together, some nice quality wins. And then Zion comes back and the spotlight comes on them. And that's all anyone can talk about in February is Zion. And then, obviously the shutdown happens and any momentum that they had just gets stopped. But if you really just kind of take a look, do they just roll back exactly what they have and just try and come back stronger? I don't think that's the best strategy. So let's really kind of do a deep dive into the Pelicans. So let's see how they finish this year. So this year, they're one of the best three-point shooting teams in the league. Percentage-wise, I think they were hitting 37%, which put them in the top 7. They were one of the top scoring teams just by points. But if you look at their offensive rating is all the way down in the middle of the pack, the bottom end of the middle of the pack. So here, let's just pull up the basketball reference. Yeah, so their offensive rating, even though they were in the top 5 in points per game, their offensive rating ranked them 17th at 110 points per game. So, that's a really big disparity. You're in the top 5 in scoring, but your offensive rating is middle of the pack. They were 5th in scoring at 115 points per game. So why is that? So one of them, their pace. They played fast. They were, I think they were in the top 3 in pace, which is a good thing. You have a young team like that, you want to play fast. It takes advantage of the youth, and the speed. Yeah, they were 2nd in pace behind the Bucks. So, and then with the 3 ball, again, very accurate, 37%. That puts them 6th, actually, if we update it with some of the bubble stats. So that's really good. So they got, the 2 of the biggest things you need right now to be successful in the NBA. You have good 3-point shooting and you can play fast. So where did they, so why did they do so badly, right? So one of the obvious thing is turnovers. 2nd in the league in turnovers. They're committing 16 a game on average, which is not good, especially if the other teams are converting on those turnovers. If their transition defense is poor. Right, so that's a big thing, and then the other thing that's really big and is getting to the line. They were they were in the bottom half of the league in terms of getting to the line. So that's, it's kind of the Houston formula: points in the paint, free throws, and threes. Right. So they had the threes. They have that taken care of, but the getting to the line they were not doing, and I think that's really the issue they need to address, is kind of that interior scoring. And it doesn't necessarily have to come from a post-up player, because as we know, those don't exist anymore in the modern NBA. Outside, or if they do, they're Boban and they play very sparse minutes. So really, they need more attacking guards, and Ingram has been a revelation for them this year. He's probably going to win Most Improved Player. He got a lot stronger this year, and just the game, everything people thought about him is starting to come to fruition. He looks like he's going to be an all-star for many years to come. So they really got something with him. So I think it comes down, a lot of it comes down to what are you going to do with Lonzo? So they got one more year with Lonzo. I think they can extend him before the season starts. Is he the point guard that you want to keep with this team? So they've kept that core from the Lakers, Josh Hart, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball. That core, they've played together their whole NBA careers. And Lonzo Ball, he before this shutdown, he was playing really well. He was, I think, in January and February, he had his 3-point shooting percent up in the high 30s. He was, all the defensive stuff that everyone raves about him. He was starting to really, be consistent with. And I mean, as we know, the passing and the rebounding is always there. But one of the things he's lacked since he's gotten into the league, he doesn't really attack the rim. He's either shooting the three or it's a transition layup. And that's pretty much it. He doesn't have that in-between game. And I think that's going to have to be. And then you have JJ Redick, he's mostly almost exclusively there for shooting. And then so where do you go for your interior scoring and getting to the free throw line? Well, everyone says, well, Zion. Yes, Zion definitely. He's going to get to the line a lot, and he's going to be an interior force. However, though, just nobody knows how much Zion you're going to get. That's still the big unknown with him. This reminds me a lot of Embiid's first year when he was healthy, where they were just over cautious with his health, and he wasn't playing second nights of back-to-backs. He was on a very strict limit restriction, and everyone understood why, because he's like, look, we've invested so much. We plan to build everything around this player, so we have to really be careful, make sure he comes up, he avoids major injury. But I think what we ended up seeing with Embiid, and I hope they avoid this with Zion, is, it got to the point with Embiid that, he had no endurance, and he couldn't, they got him, they were so gradual in building him up to this 30 to 35 minute window where he could play and be effective. But you couldn't push him any further beyond that. I mean, we saw it all. It was famous last year how gassed Embiid was. And with Zion, number one, and it's very disruptive to the team if you keep this player putting him in, putting him out, putting him in, putting him out. And if you expect him to be a centerpiece of your team, how can you get any consistency? It's kind of like what we're seeing with the Clippers with Kawhi Leonard, right? He's in and out of the lineup. It's the Raptors made it look easy last year with how seamless it was bringing him in and out. As we're seeing with the Clippers this year, I don't think it's that seamless. And I think it's going to be even less seamless with Zion, because especially when you have hopes of him being so critical, such a big piece of the team. So I think they're going to have to make a decision if they want to continue with the way they're handling Zion, or if they're just going to reach a point. Look, he's done the off-season work. We have the staff now. Just let him play, and see what happens. So that's going to determine a lot of theirs, because if he's a regular part of the starting lineup, he solves a lot of the problems. He's going to be a force that's going to get them to the line. That's going to be an interior presence. that to balance out that great transition, the fast pace and the 3-point shooting. So, and if you look at their contract situation, they have things are looking pretty good for them right now. So, who's expiring? So Derek Favors comes off the books this year, and I'm pretty sure. I doubt he's coming back, or if he does, it's going to be at a very favorable contract to them. I mean, he was making 17.6 this season. There's no way he's coming for more than 10 if he comes back. They have one more year of JJ Redick. Brendan Ingram's going to be the big contract this summer for them. And I don't think there's any question he's getting maxed out. Unfortunately, with the way the cap is because of the pandemic, that max probably won't be, might not be as high as it would have been under normal years. But it's still, he's very deserving of it. And they still got Jackson Hayes at a great contract, and I think he's going forward going to be, he's going to replace Favors as the center, and he's a really good piece with center for all the other pieces that they have around them, for the shooters and Lonzo. He's kind of the perfect big to put with them. And then who else? So they're losing a lot of just the bench guys: Frank Jackson, Jahlil Okafor, Kenrich Williams. All had great. I was disappointed with Okafor. I thought they could have used him. I thought he could have been a much more productive piece to that team, because it looked like he improved a lot from his early years. But so I think the big issue for them, okay, they're going to max out Ingram, and then they have one more year of JJ Redick. Lonzo, do you extend him? I think that's going to be the big question. I don't think they're going to extend him, or they're going to lowball him on the extension. And then he's probably going to opt to play out his contract, especially because hopefully there'll be a cap bump, and wait until then and see if he can get better money. Because I don't think they're sold on Lonzo Ball. Even though, in theory he has all the tools, I think they need a bit more of an aggressive point guard for the team that they have. I can even see them going for maybe trying to swing a deal with Orlando for Markelle Fultz. Lonzo for Fultz would be an interesting trade, but I think it kind of addresses a lot of their needs. So that'll be a big offseason thing. And then just kind of rebuilding the bench. Josh Hart's another guy, I thought we'd get more out of him in New Orleans, because he's a nice player. Like, he had really good moments in LA, and he was kind of a fringe starter. Maybe like on a bad team he could be a starter, but I think the bench is kind of right now what suits him best. And with some hard work over the summers, I can even see maybe like him carving out kind of like a Danny Green type of niche for him, where he just comes in, he's a solid two guard, solid defensively. Offensively, he'll hit open shots. He'll make some energy plays. So, I don't know. They have one more year of him. Again, I don't think they extend him either. And yeah, so I think it's kind of a little bit of a clean slate where I think they've identified, some of their weaknesses, which is specifically getting to the line, and kind of just that, and then just defensively, look, Alvin Gentry teams historically, they've never been great defensively, but as long as you can just be average, right? If your offense is high powered enough that you can just be average defensively, for the next step they're looking to take, which is becoming a playoff team, that'll get them there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think overall they were disappointed with how they played in the bubble, and the next couple of weeks probably, David Griffin and Alvin Gentry. They're going to have to kind of review what went wrong, and see, and then go back to the drawing board and addressing those issues of getting to the free throw line and turnovers and transition defense. So those are my thoughts on the Pelicans. I'll be back to kind of review the day's games and to see where we are with the play-in tournament and maybe some more playoff previews. Until then, guys, enjoy your day, and this has been the 3 in the Key podcast.